Hello and welcome to the Live Rally Game Podcast. My name is Steven, and it is the start of a brand new Surviving Reelfoot season, the Decennium. And who better to kick us off and talk about the cast and the people who put the cast together, the Reelfoot production team. How are you all doing?
Great. Thanks for having us, Steven.
And so maybe starting with Parker or working our way over, do you mind introducing yourself and talking about your role in the team?
Yeah, absolutely. Parker, I've been a part of Reelfoot since season 3. I've been on production ever since. I, helped out with casting and do a lot for the game, I think.
And my name is Trevor, and I played in season 2, and this is my first time at this level on the production team. I'm Pete's predecessor. When he retires, I'm taking his role over. So they brought me on board, and I'm happy to be here, and I think I bring a lot to the team.
Well, I'm Amos. I'm the creator, obviously. This is our 10th year doing it. We're super excited about that. These guys have all been with me through thick and thin, and even though they call me the host and the creator, I couldn't do it without them. So I'm grateful for them.
Hey guys, I'm Pete. Been playing, started at 60 on season 3. I've tried to quit twice. I can't quit this group. I'm passionate about this group. It is a passion. My friends and family see that. As long as I can walk and got a brain, I'm coming. One of those is about to go. But I love this group. I love working with these guys. It's just amazing. So we'll do what we can do tonight. I may be the worst, but we'll see what comes
But before we talk about the cast, there's one thing I noticed from the footage that I've seen posted online today. The players seem to be reading a history of Reelfoot. Is that the case? Or
we thought for our 10th year, this is 10-year anniversary. It's a big milestone for us. So we thought, in their bush guide, they get all their survival stuff. We thought it'd be fun to look back at Reelfoot's past and give them a little bit of, fun facts and real facts and everything else all about Reelfoot and past seasons. And so, they can kind of understand, because a lot of that stuff wasn't aired or shown. So, it's just fun to go back and relive those memories with this new group.
Yeah, I was listening to Pete explain to one of the tribes, this is a machete, this is dangerous, please don't be Nolan, and sever your tendons and go to the hospital. And I was like, flashbacks to Thick as Thieves. Not the best flashback, but a flashback.
I did not know you were hearing that. I'm sorry.
Well, it was one of the random camp life segments that was coming. I was like, I get that reference.
I'm the worrier. I'm going to always worry about somebody getting hurt.
But like, we have had medevacs in seasons past. You have pulled people in games. This is 8 days outside. It rained a little today. It looks like there might be more rain in the future. There are elements people have to contend with, wild animals, etc. I think the takeaways I got from most of the videos is very low survival skills for this group, but like, I can't complain. I had 0 going in the Reelfoot.
Well, I'll just throw this out too. We talk about the rattlesnakes. They're real. We've had a rattlesnake encounter in both tribes or campsites last year. We've had a rattlesnake already this year in one of the camps. It wasn't aggressive, but it was big. And we warned them about these snakes. We talked to them a lot about it. It is a deadly snake, but it's real. And I think people should know these people are out here, and this whole area is known for rattlesnakes. And fortunately, it's not an aggressive snake, but it's still a poisonous snake.
Yeah, it amused me in Melanie's intro pack. She's like, I'm not idle hunting. I value my life too much to go into the woods.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So this season, we have 20 players, 2 tribes. We have the Non-Kana tribe and we have the Okina tribe. What's the history behind these tribe names?
Well, with Reelfoot, we always try to keep, or most of the time, we try to keep a little bit of our local history and culture in it, or keep it, Tennessee themed. And Okina and Non-Kana are 2 bodies of water that are located in Tennessee. So we really wanted to, showcase. We're kind of wanting to go back to our you'll see in a lot of our challenges and decorations and things of go back to our natural history of like the Native Americans and Chickasaws and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if it's been uploaded yet. There's a video, Charlie reading the the legend of Reelfoot Lake. You know, it's a legend, but it's what people tell. So it's just we want to keep it, you know, to our area.
So without further, is there anything else you'd like to talk about before we jump into the cast?
I'll just quickly say I think this is one of the best casts we put together. I mean, we've had some great casts over the years. I really survival skills notwithstanding, but I really do think there's a lot of really fun personalities, and I think we're going to see some good gameplay. There's a lot of big personalities, but also some people who want to play really a cerebral game. So I think it's going to be good to watch.
Yeah, and Jeff, we'll talk about. There's some names that I know I've recognized just from seeing other games, etc., and that'll be fun to talk about. So with that, let's go ahead and for all those who are listening, tuning in, we'll be walking through the players alphabetically for my sanity. So we'll be jumping between tribes to a sense. All right, so starting off with our first player here, we have Blake. Now, Blake is 26 from Milwaukee, and his profession, he's a go-go dancer and male performer. Talk to me about Blake.
Blake is somebody that when we interviewed him, we went through the whole interview, and I wouldn't call it the best interview ever, but once it was over and we kind of started talking to him and we got to know him better, we're like, okay, he's just not good in an interview. Like his personality really came out, and that's when I was like, oh man, this guy, like if we had just went off that interview, like he probably wouldn't be out there right now. But he had this energy and this personality, and it was just humor. And it was just like, man, like, you know, we kind of almost have to disregard, because you want to get to know these people, and this is how these people are going to be themselves in the game, and you're like, you know, that we can't let that interview, you know, dictate whether he goes on in or not, because what we're learning now that it's, you know, over and we're just talking, you know, this is the Blake we want to cast.
And our interviews are long; they're an hour, and we go through a lot of stuff, but we really do try to put them in situations where we see their reaction, where we see how they react to something they're not familiar with, where we see how they have to make decisions, and we put them on the spot a few times. We have a little fun with it, of course, to make them comfortable, but you know, our interviews do open up a lot of doors for us.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious because Reelfoot, again, this is an 8-day long game. No one's being voted out today nor Sunday, and the vote outs historically have begun Monday. And generally, that long open in the game can really help certain players. Do you think this? It sounds like, is Blake a player who's going to really benefit from that?
Yeah. Well, Blake, like I said, he's just. I don't think he was good in an interview, but at the moment he got out here and the moment he put that buff on and the game started, the Blake that we saw in our conversations with Blake, that came out. There was no somberness to him. There was no, it was Blake is Blake, and Blake has a very big personality, and he's very funny and witty, and you know, and it's showing, and he's I think he's going to do really good. He's doing good.
How do you think Blake will approach the game?
It's hard to say because, you know, they've only been out there for a day, and I really haven't been at their tribe a ton. He's on the Nankana tribe, and I've spent most of the day at Okina. But Blake is very strategic. He's very knowing where everybody's at, and he's one of those people that everybody really likes. Nobody's talking about, you know, Blake. So I think Blake can do very well as long as all those connections he's making don't come back to haunt him.
Anything else you want to add about Blake?
There all day. So I was there all day hanging out with Blake. And so Blake, his strength is his social game. He is very humorous, and he didn't do a whole lot of game talk. He was just getting to know people and being funny and friendly and approachable. And because he was approachable, he was approached a lot today with deals and alliances and things like that. So he's not starting things. He's not the starter on the tribe, but he's getting approached to be brought into alliances and things. And I think that's a really good spot to be in. So I think he's going to do really good.
And a lot can happen in the next 36 hours, right?
Yes.
So we'll be interested to see what happens, how that goes.
Yep.
Yeah. Anything can happen.
All right. So next up, we have Carl. Carl is also on the Nankana tribe. Am I pronouncing that correct?
Nankana, yep.
Yeah,
Nankana. So he's also in the Nankana tribe. He is 48 from Oak Ridge, Tennessee. He is a carpenter, and he had probably one of the most memorable videos that you posted from the cast, where he I think the two things that took away was like he wants players. He's applied a lot for CBS Survivor, and so this is going to be really his kind of outlet for his survivor dreams, and he is the king. And I don't know if the players recognize it yet, but he has a crown ready for his coronation this season.
Yeah, so I was at Carl's camp all day long. Carl is a big personality. He it's impossible for him to be hidden. When I was filming confessionals, which will air in the episodes, I asked a question like, "Who's your tribe leader? Who's emerged as your tribe leader?" And it was universal. Everybody said Carl was as emerged as our tribe leader. And normally, a tribe leader is like, you don't want that role. You don't, that's not where you want to go with this. But for him, his energy comes off like he's a big kid almost, and so they find it a likable. And I noticed when I went live, he had probably the most shout outs. Like I think he's got the most fans right now. I really do. So King Carl's doing really good in this game. I think he thinks he's better that he's going to go far because people are going to use him to progress their own games. I don't think he will be aware of that personally.
Now, I know in seasons past, Frank Goodpaster has been the player who's created the most innovative Survivor furniture, etc.
Yep.
Do you predict that Carl will give Frank a run for the money?
He built the shelter. He was like, I'm a carpenter. I've been a carpenter for X amount of years, and he was doing some things I've never seen. So it was very innovative. But Frank, I still give the edge to Frank because I've never seen anyone transfer moss from one location to another to lay on. So I still give the edge to Frank.
All right. Anything else about Carl?
Nope.
All right. So moving on, we have Charlie. Now, I believe Charlie is the youngest member of the cast. He's 18 from Philadelphia, and he is currently a college student. Talk to me about Charlie.
Okay, I'm going to talk to you about Charlie. Can I say how he came in the game?
Yeah.
Okay. Charlie was truly a last-minute add-on. Unfortunately, we had a person have to drop out for personal reasons on
2 days ago.
Thursday.
Yep.
And we're picking up people at the airport on Friday. And so we had interviewed Charlie, and he's even asked me why he wasn't cast to start with. And I told him it was, we were a little concerned about his age. He is very young.
Compared to everybody else.
Compared to everybody else. We wanted him to have a good experience. But Charlie, I had to talk to his family, rightfully so. His dad was worried. His mom was worried. But Charlie is a great character. He arrived here on Friday, got a last-minute flight, got here, and he stayed at my house. My wife and I hosted him. Super nervous.
Yeah.
But now Charlie has come out. Now, I've talked to him a lot. I think he's even admitted his nervousness because he only had 2 days to get ready, and everybody else has had months. But now Charlie knows the game. We talked a lot about Survivor. He's a huge Survivor fan. He's one of those that knows every alliance and who went out and what order they went out and what season it was. And he's definitely knowledgeable on Survivor, and he's knowledgeable on strategies. And he has a strategy coming into this game. I checked in on him a few times today. He's having a blast. And he's just all smiles. He seems to be fitting in well with the tribe. And he might be being a little bit too quiet. Some of them may be a little worried about him being too quiet because he is a thinker. But, I hope he does well.
Yeah. And to add on to, because I did a confessional with him today, and like Trevor said, the confessionals will air in the episode, but he did mention he's very self-aware. He knows that he's quiet. He knows that his anxiousness is probably what's going to get him voted out if it gets him voted out. So he's very aware of that. Issue with Charlie is because he's so quiet, he's on this tribe with big personalities. They are talking about him being a little too quiet and things like that. So but like Pete said, he only had a couple days to get ready. So I think, but a lot of things can happen in the next couple days. So you never know. And I think he's fitting in well. Nobody on that tribe seems to think anybody's on the out. So right now it could be anybody could just be spit out there.
Yeah, it's like we said, this is night one. It's early. A lot will evolve tomorrow. Of the course of if there are reward challenges to compete in, with a chance to show off your skills, or maybe some ear grave. It all depends on the tribe dynamic. So hopefully he will ease into things. Now, did he say yes, 2 days is not a lot of time, but what things would have wanted done to prepare for Reelfoot had he known about it?
I think it was more for him just the mental side.
Yeah.
You know,
Gotcha.
everybody's had months. We cast in December, and they've had months to mentally think about this. And Charlie's a young person. He just finished his first year of college, which is still a young college student.
Mhm.
He's in graphics design. He has hosted a game on his college, at his college level. So he knows the game, but I just think it was the mental. He just, you got to get you in the right mindset. I mean, he wasn't going to go to the gym, or he wasn't worried about a diet. He just had to get it in here, what he was coming to do. And he was super nervous. His parents talked to me about that. This is one of his first times to travel by himself. Never been to Nashville, airport, somebody picking you up, doesn't know who it's going to be. His parents don't know who it's going to be. And it's like his dad told me. He said, this is something he really wants to do, and I'm going to have to let Charlie live his own life. And so I've been in touch with his parents today. I'm super proud of them for trusting him. I think he's going to have a unique experience, one that kid will remember for a long time.
If I can just add real quick, as somebody who was the young guy on his season,
Yep.
I hope, no matter how the game goes for Charlie, I really hope this is an experience that he carries with him, because I know when I played at 16, it was a huge part of my formative years as a young adult. And I hope, however it goes game-wise, just the experience itself for Charlie, he can take with him into his young adulthood.
I saw him today, and he was literally could not stop smiling. I was with him alone, walking up for a confessional, and I just said, how's it going? He said, I am having a blast. I said, well, you can't stop smiling. He said, I can't stop smiling. He said, thank you all for giving me this chance.
Yep.
All right. Next up, we have Danny Jackson. He's 29 from Gallatin, Tennessee. He's a hospitality agent. And I had to ask, for when you do these cast photos, it's clear there are some kind of props you could have. And I didn't realize the feather was one of them, because the feather kind of appears in a couple other ones. But I like Danny's use of the feather.
Well, I'll let Pete talk about him, but the feather just happens to be laying there. That wasn't a prop we actually gave. We gave them the stick that you see in a lot of their photos, but the feather just happened to be there, and Danny was like, I'm going to put it there. So
Speaks to Danny's personality.
Yeah. Well, Danny's another character. He's been on and off with this season. He was cast originally, and then he had to drop out for some personal. He was relocating. Money was tight. He was just moving communities or cities, and he just felt like he couldn't put it all there. And then we had an opportunity where we saw an opening for Danny, and so we reached out to him and said, are you in a better place? And he said yes. And so I knew Danny from a previous game. Danny's a very loyal player. He's very extravagant, but he's very loyal. He helped me. I won the game we played with, and he was an instrument helping me win that game. He knows that. We've actually talked about that. When Danny gives you his word, he's going to stick with you. Now, it's still super early. He seems to be in a great place in this tribe. He is a worker. He's funny. He keeps them laughing a little bit. He has some great sayings, and but he's a worker too. He's not sitting around, and he's definitely a team player. And I would say he's probably, now these guys may correct me because I haven't seen the confessionals, but I would guess he's in the majority on his tribe.
I would agree.
Well,
I think he's in a good spot.
Well, as somebody who's been there all day doing confessionals, he's okay.
Yeah.
But I think, and I'll get to why when another person, but there's a lot of talk about no groups. Like the Okinaki tribe is that what do you call it? Kumbaya tribe, where nobody wants to go.
Nobody wants to go off.
Nobody goes off to talk. Everybody stays in a group.
That's true.
And I think that's going to hurt some people,
Right.
that need that. People like Charlie, who if people think he's too quiet, he doesn't. They need to start doing that. And he's mentioned that Danny did in his confessional that nobody seems to be going off, and he doesn't want to be the one pulling people off.
Mm-hmm.
But there are talks of him in some groups, but.
Right.
There's not enough talk that I think he's going to be in a majority right now.
Yeah.
But that could change.
I think you'll end up there.
it's a tenuous position, but it's not something he can't overcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I imagine, like, again, you just start the game, everyone's nervous, no one wants to be the first person to move or throw things out. Tomorrow, things will likely loosen up.
Oh yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah, especially tomorrow, because tomorrow evening, they'll do their first immunity challenge, and that's when the game really starts.
Yeah.
So
I think the game got a little more kicked in even after the challenge today, because they've been building camps all day and all kumbaya stuff. And then today they had to
There was some.
perform.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get into that.
yeah,
Especially
we'll
with the
get
fire
into the
tokens.
challenge of
Get
what
into
happened.
that, yeah.
Because
Okay.
that hasn't aired, so they don't know what's going on.
Yeah, so we haven't seen anything. All we've seen is camp life.
Right.
We'll explain it if you want us to at the end of this. What happened?
Yeah, oh, for sure. So next up, we have Debbie. Debbie is 43 from Westfield, New Jersey. She is a digital sales executive. Talk to me about Debbie.
Debbie is a little woman with a big personality, which is why she's here.
Yep.
Debbie is one of those people that she is probably one of the most excited people to play this game. She almost is over-prepared, I feel like. But she's out there and she's, got this big personality. She's like a little stick of dynamite. And there has been some talk of that, in her tribe. Trevor can elaborate a little bit more on that because he's been out there with her all day. But I think she's doing good. People really like her. But her big personality is kind of getting some
Overbearing.
attention.
Yeah.
But people like her, so anything can change. And she's playing a good game, and she's playing a good strategic game. It's just, where does she fit in other people's game?
Right.
Yeah, so spending the day with Debbie, I'm not a player in the game, and even I was overwhelmed. But she is like you. The best way to describe her is the way you did, was she's a firecracker, and
Yeah.
she's her energies. She has so much energy that it's overbearing, and it's wearing on some of the people on her tribe. And so
It's like if she doesn't get that burst of energy out, she's going to explode. She
Yes.
just has to get it out.
So I do think that she needs to tone it down if she wants to do well in this game. I could see people dragging her along. That could be because I do think that she would be loyal to whoever would use her. But she right now, I would say she's one of those people that needs to become a little bit more self-aware, and if she wants to turn the tide in her favor.
Well, it sounds like her biggest challenge if her tribe wins the first challenge, that will be a huge boon for her.
I think also with Debbie, these guys have said it, like, the thing that will help Debbie in this game is the same thing that'll take her out. That's the personality. Now, people don't see Debbie as a strategist, I think. I think they see the talkativeness and the big personality and the friendliness. But she has a strategy. She knows this game like the back of her hand. It's just, is it going to work out for her personality, get people to like her, or is it going to get her out of the game?
Yeah.
So next up, we have one of our first international players. We have Ethan. Ethan is here from Sydney, Australia. He is 23 years old and is in sales. I actually, did a podcast with Ethan.
Wow.
Some point last fall. He reached out to me and said, "Hey, I'd love to do it like a North America like AU podcast because I want to learn what's going on in the world of like games in America." And like, I said, I don't know if like he applied the Reelfoot because we talked, but it was like, wait a second, I think I recognize this guy.
I think you should give yourself credit.
Yeah, I'm totally taking credit. If he wins, it's all on me. If he loses, I'd definitely do with it. I don't recall what games he played in Australia, but I think, to my understanding, a lot of Australian games are much shorter.
He played, I think it's like a day game.
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
a one-day
Sydney.
game. It was Sydney Survivor
Yeah.
or Survivor Sydney or something
Something
like
like
that. I watched the season, and he was probably my favorite one on that season. So when he applied, well, I didn't know him until he applied. We interviewed him, and he talked about it. I'm taking your spot. I'm so
You're
sorry.
good.
Parker was supposed to be the one talking.
No, you're
about it.
good.
But I watched after we interviewed him his season, and I was like, oh my god! And because I didn't get to be on his
Right,
interview,
right.
I missed his interview because
Right.
I was sick or something. And so I was like, oh my god! Like, I don't know how we can't cast this guy. Like, he's just this goofy. Reminds me of an Australian Fabio almost.
In a way, yeah.
Yeah.
Ethan first of all, the fact that we have two people who are so into it to travel all the way from Australia, that is incredible. And I really hope, just on a production level and a personal level, both of them have an experience that's worth, remembering for them because they both want it. About Ethan specifically, because I was at the Green Camp a lot today as well. Ethan is somebody who, he's goofy. He has a bit of a dry sense of humor, but it seems like his tribe is connecting with him. Obviously, he's a tall guy. He can run, so I think his tribe will like him for challenges. But Ethan, he's also a thinker, and he is always thinking about, okay, those two just had a conversation, and those two over there, what does that mean? What are they talking about? Now, is he going to think too much and get himself out of the game? Potentially. I think that could be a weakness of his, but as of now, it's early. I think they like him. I think they think he'll be helpful in challenges, and he seems to be putting himself out of his comfort zone, because I was a little afraid that he'd be a little too reserved, and even he mentioned that to me at one point, that he thought he'd be too reserved, but it seems like he's even impressing himself socially.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll be curious, because a 1-day game and an 8-day game are vastly different things, right?
The game would have already been over,
And so
yeah, so it's definitely different. I had a chat with him today, because I the confessional with him, and talking about, he was talking about how it's different, because in Australia it's winter right now.
Yeah.
Yes, true.
So he was talking about how different everything was, and so he's super excited to be here, and he's doing really well, but especially because the girls are really loving his accent.
Yep.
And he's really playing on that, I think.
Yeah.
Use what you got to do. Use what you got, and and he's in a pretty good spot, I think. There's one person we haven't got to yet that I think is kind of doesn't know it, but is in control of that tribe.
Yeah.
And that person wants to work with him, and I'll get to that when it's that person's turn. But so I think he's in a pretty good spot, because even though other people aren't talking about him, that person is, and that's the important person that he wants on his side.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to when we get to that person.
Yeah.
Also on the Okino tribe, next up we have Hannah. Now, Hannah is 33 from Boston, Massachusetts. She's a software engineer and dancer. Now, Hannah, I've seen some of her games. So I think her first game was Outlast 2023. She was the runner-up for that season. And I was still stunned that she didn't win at the very end. But and then she played Who is the Mole, the live game this summer, and was the first player eliminated. But it's a mole game, so who knows how? It's a lot of luck involved in that.
Yeah.
And I think it's gonna be very interesting to see how she plays in reaction to her last game, getting it so close to the end, but then also getting to see her game and on an actual episodic series and evaluate it that way.
Yeah. So Hannah, she is somebody who I think when we interview her, I think all of us discussed, this is the kind of person who wins these games. She's very smart. She's very personable, but not to an overwhelming degree. She said she's very intentional with her words, when she speaks, how she speaks. And that's how she's playing this game as well. I think right now in her tribe, she's in a good spot. The Okina tribe's a little difficult because of
she's in a good spot.
She's in a good spot. Okay. Okay. Good. Just making sure. But I'm glad she's in a good spot, and she. But I'm not surprised though, because she is somebody who, like you said, Stephen, and she only lost by 1 vote in the Outlast game, and she has talked about it with me earlier today, how that's really helping her to realize, okay, this is what I need to work on. This is what I need to improve on. And she is somebody is really excited to play the game. She's relatively new. She's to this LRG community. She started with Justin's game. She's here now. And I'm really excited for her.
Yeah, she doesn't come off as threatening.
No.
Even as I'm watching her play, I'm like, she's not a threat at all. But she's in such a good spot. I think she's probably
she's in a really good spot to think about it.
She's in a very good spot.
She's got a shield in front of her, and we'll get it to her later.
Yeah. But she's just one of those people that you don't see coming. Even if people that know her in the past, I know she's played before, and I'm like, I don't see it.
Even knowing she got second.
But it's because she's got this sweet, soft-spoken personality, so she doesn't come off as threatening or abrasive. So people aren't threatened by her, and that's really going to benefit her going forward, because nobody's going to want to target somebody that they don't feel is a threat, even though she is a threat, and we'll get to that later too. There's somebody that when we get to the person from before, we'll
get to the person.
Yeah, we'll discuss.
And I think part of what we're talking about there is I don't think people are going to realize that she is going to be an individual competition threat.
She'll do good in challenges.
Yeah, she will.
Yeah.
She's going to be a silent killer.
Yeah.
So next up, we have James King. James is 30.
I'll talk about James.
James is 34 from Detroit, Michigan. He's a bartender, and my only fun fact is I have a student this past semester with the exact same name. Very different James, though. So tell me a bit about James.
Okay, so fun fact: when we did James's interview, I did not like James at all, and I didn't want him in the cast. And Parker actually felt the same way.
Yep.
And Amos was kind of indifferent, but Pete was like, "This guy has to play this game," and he was actually. We all kind of predict who would be our winner just based on interviews exclusively. And this is Pete's winner's pick. He thinks that James is going to win the season.
I wrote winner
Okay.
on the top of his interview.
And
the day we interviewed.
I didn't see it. I didn't see it till I got out here and I watched him play. And the best comparison that I can give is Sharif. He plays like I was watching him today at camp.
Oh,
and
damn.
I feel like I'm watching Sharif play. He is commanding this tribe. He is pulling in numbers. He's telling them, "Here's what we're going to do, guys," and they're all nodding their head. He just has this ability to pull strings but not in a non-threatening way.
Mhm.
Do I think he's going to win? Unfortunately, I still don't think he's going to win just because I think eventually that's going to catch up to him. Like it'll be a big blindside is what'll happen, I think. But he can win.
Mhm.
I think that he's the type of player where eventually that power catches up to him. And I think the other side is going to see that. And also he's a brand new to this community.
Yep.
So he's coming in not knowing anybody. And that can be an advantage or a disadvantage, but it's he's turned this into an advantage because nobody knows, what he brings to the table, and he's, using that to his advantage. And I just think he's going to do really well. And I'm willing to say I was wrong about him. So,
And
Me too.
that being said, I want to say that goes to how complex the casting process is. When you have somebody this guy's the best interview I've ever seen, he's going to win.
My number one.
To people that are like, yeah, I don't think he should even be considered. And then you've got the middle of the road. And when you start talking about, and when we talk about the cast as a puzzle, and each piece fits, somehow James fit.
Yep.
And he got in.
And I was wrong too.
So, and he's out there killing it.
yeah, he's doing really good. I think he's like one of the top 3 on that tribe.
So, Pete, question for you. Sharif has played 2 times, done very well both times, but he has not made it to the end. What will James do that Sharif hasn't done? If Sharif is our main comparison.
The reason I marked him the winner is he just has a way of talking to people, and it's his bartender. He is the guy that you'd belly up to a bar and you would bare your soul, and he is going to be that guy that you're going to trust, and he's going to listen to you, and he's going to bring you along, and he's also got some bull crap. I mean, he's got enough bull crap that he's going to make everybody feel like they're super important to him. But he's going to pick the people he really wants to work with, but nobody will know because he's going to take care of everybody. It's his bartender experience. Sharif is a great player, but I just think James has got an advantage with the psychology of the game that he uses in his everyday life. And that's why I marked him on my sheet, winner, day 1.
Dang. All right. Well, we'll see what happens. Next up, we have Jeff. Jeff is 30 from Boston, Massachusetts. He is a product manager. He is our second player who played Outlast 2023, him and Hannah, but it seems like they're on very different tribes at the start of this game. One thing that really stood out to me about Jeff's opening video was he placed a real high emphasis on the physical game and winning out and being very wary of social threats and wanting to target them. That was one of the takeaways. Because a lot of players, I felt like more like, I'll be social. He was like, no, I want them gone. Talk to me about Jeff and what you all seen them so far.
Okay, so I spent the day, like I said, at Non-Kana, and Jeff. Remember, I said that James is running things a little bit. Jeff is one of his soldiers.
Yeah.
When James is talking, so Jeff and James have become like Batman and Robin, and Jeff is Robin in this. I did get a chance to pull Jeff aside and talk for a confessional, and he played in Outlast, and I watched him play in Outlast, and in that game, he was right. He's right. He's one of the best at challenges. He killed all the challenges. I don't think any tribe he was on, I don't think they ever went to tribal. And then when they merged, he was the first one voted out because of that physical threat. And I asked him, I said, what are you going to do differently? And he said nothing. Like, he's going to do the exact same thing. And I think it's going to come back and get him again. You can't play that. If it didn't work before last time, don't think you can do the same thing and expect it to come with a different result. So I think that Jeff is doomed. But There is one thing that could help him, and that is that he's got James as his number one, it looks like. And James might be a shield, and he did bring up the shield thing, but he's like, I'm not holding back in challenges. I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to kill every challenge. And I just think that you should try to tweak your game a little bit. If you come back a second time, but he doesn't want to do that. So we'll see if it pans out for him. I just don't think it will, but.
Yeah. Well, Jeff is certainly challenge oriented. Like you said, Steven, I think he said one of his favorites players was Ozzy. Jeff socially, people like Jeff socially, but he's not focusing on the social as much as the challenges. So if they vote Jeff out, it won't be because he's rubbing people the wrong way or people didn't like him. I think it's because of the physical threat. And like Trevor said, if he doesn't change from last time, how are you going to expect different results? Now, perhaps Jeff is pulled in as a number, and that's how he gets by. But if he's not the one to initiate things, then I don't see him lasting too long past the merge. I hope for Jeff that there's a light bulb that comes off and maybe he feels he needs to change things. At the moment, I'm not seeing it. But I'm really excited for Jeff nonetheless, and I'm excited he's here.
Yeah.
One of the things he mentioned in his video is like he wants to break the record for individual immunity challenge wins.
He does.
Do you know who holds the record currently?
There's a 9-way tie.
Parker.
I said it, but there's a 9-way tie.
Parker said
Okay.
There's 9 people that's all win. He just has to win 4.
That's it.
Okay. That's all. That's easy. That's all there is to it. 4 individual immunity wins. What more can you ask for?
I said it.
Technically.
Yeah.
Him
You said
and
it,
8 other people.
I'm going to say he has.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
We'll just say that.
All right. So
Got it first.
Yeah.
No one's beating him.
next up, we have German. He is 32 from Orlando, Florida. He is a cybersecurity student. German, following the trend of we are having a second chance for Outlast Final Tribal Council losers, he was the runner-up for the first season of Outlast 2022. I thought he played a really impressive game in Outlast. He was in a minority. I thought he had a very keen social game. I was stunned that Nick took the win from him at the very end. And so I am very high on German come this game. I am very excited to see what he can do. Talk to me about him.
German right now is in a pretty good spot. He's not top dog, but he's not at the bottom. I'd say if it was out of 10 people, he's probably like somewhere in the top 5, 4, well, maybe 5-ish. So he's very good. He's very social. And he said he flat out said, I hate it. I hate it out here. I hate the bugs. I hate the rain. I hate the mud.
He said
But it's my social game that's gonna get me through. He said so I'm not good at any of this. I hate it all, but I'm gonna give it my all in the social part. Everybody likes him. He's very well spoken. There's of course somebody else that we haven't got to this person yet, but like I said, there's the reason this person is kind of running the show, but that's somebody else that that they are talking about working with. He's got 2 or 3 different groups. I mean, groups that we can say there are, but they try to say that there's not groups, but we can see them. So I think he's in a really good spot socially. Everybody likes him. I don't think he's going to be anywhere near an early boot on this tribe. And he does have connections on the other tribe. He said I'm not going home before the merge. I'm not going home before the swap. I'm not going he pretty much knows
he's confident.
Set.
He knows,
and which could get him in the end, but the confidence and trusting the wrong people. But yeah, I mean, he's flat out said I'm not going home. Like I've got this.
He's top 3 on that tribe. 100% top 3.
This makes me wonder how boring you thought my initial tribe was in Reelfoot. Because definitely I don't feel like we had much strategy going on day one at the very least.
Oh, I mean, to be fair, y'all flicked a vote at the first tribal, so that was
we had no choice. You all twisted us and saved Jake Sparks, which I am grateful for in the long run of my game. But moving on. Next up, we have Jordan. Now, Jordan played Survival Challenge 2023, but I think my biggest takeaway was she was a power lifter in college, and that is super impressive. She is from Austin, Texas, so Parker, I appreciate the Texas representation. And she is a student, but also works as an airline crew chief. So I'm amazed that she's juggling all of that.
Jordan is somebody who just has an infectious personality. She's got a great smile, it lights up the room. She's somebody who has it's a confidence, but it's a quiet confidence, and that's the type of thing you need in this game. You can't come in as the loudest, you can't come in as the quietest, and I think there's going to be a lot of people that like Jordan, but I think they're going to underestimate her because she's thinking. She's thinking about the game. She's going to get along with people. I think that she's never going to be the one who is, losing her head out there. I think she's going to keep it cool, calm, and collected. And I think she has a really good shot at making the merge.
I'll add on to Jordan. I got a lot of footage today, and there was a lot of conversations about alliances on Pink. Pink was very game heavy.
Right.
Opposite of Okina.
Opposite of Okina. So non-Kana was very game heavy. And there was a lot of alliance chat. And every group I went to, Jordan wasn't there. But they would be like, okay, we need numbers. Who do you want to pull in? Oh, let's pull in Jordan.
Yeah.
And then the next group, well, she wasn't there, but who do you want to pull in? We can pull in Jordan. I like Jordan. So she's going to get pulled into something, but she's not she's not, in that, she's going to be like an outside floater of a core alliance, if that makes sense. So she could ride that wave for a while and then maybe flip the game around. I don't know. But I think she's going to do well. I do think she will make merge or swap or whatever. I don't think she's going to be an early boot at all.
Well, the next player is the winner of my favorite cast photo award, and I think is probably Trevor's winner pick. We have, did you prefer Joanne or Joe?
It's so her legal name is Joanne, but I actually was the one who called her Joe the very first time. Whenever I started dating her, I was like, "Hey Joe," and she's like, "Why'd you call me Joe?" And I was like, "It's just easier. I'm lazy. I don't want to say Joanne." I kind of like that, and she just stuck with it. Like she's hung on to Joe this entire time. So I met her 13 years ago, and so for 13 years she's gone by Joe. Anyway, that's a little backstory. But that is my wife. Whenever I found out she was casted, there was no like inside help or anything like that. She had to go through the whole process, apply, interview, do everything. So she legitimately got casted fair and square. Mm-hmm. And when I found out she was casted, I said, "Hey, here's what I would do." And she said, "Shut up. I don't want to hear anything about what you want to do. Joanne's playing Joanne's game. Mm-hmm. I don't want to hear anything. I'm going out there. I'm playing my own game. And that's Joanne. She's doing it. And she's not going to listen to anybody else. She's going to play the way she wants to play." And at a reward challenge earlier today, she got an argue with Amos. That's how Joanne is. She'll argue with anybody. And she's been out there not playing the way that I would play. They got to the camp and she ran out into the woods and started foraging for garlic or something like that. The best way I can explain it is she's like, in my opinion, she's the Debbie of the Green tribe. She's a big personality, and she can rub people the wrong way like that. What do you think?
She's not rubbing anybody the wrong way. What I got out of the confessionals was she said this for herself. Okay, mm-hmm. So I got this out of two people plus her in confessionals, that she's trying so hard not to be on the outs that she's putting herself on the outs. Mm-hmm. She goes off a lot, and it's not to look for idols. She's hacking away at like limbs and getting wood and stuff, and there's a lot of togetherness on her tribe. And unfortunately for her, nobody leaves the camp, and they're all together, but she'll go off and do her thing. So it's kind of, she's automatically the person that people are going to look at as, oh, maybe she's not part of the team. Mm-hmm. Everybody loves her. Yep. Everybody thinks she's great. And every single person I interviewed today said, when I asked them, who do you think the leader is? Every single person said Joe. Mm-hmm. So she's definitely becoming the leader of the tribe. Like, she helped them. She got the fire going. Yeah. She got the shelter built and all that stuff. But it's just her big personality, and the whole tribe's big. So for her to be a big personality, that's the biggest of the big personalities. But the only person that mentioned like first boot, everybody's like, well, I don't know who would be the first boot. It's like, well, this is boring. But one person did say, and then we'll go back to another one that we talked about, would be Charlie, because he doesn't talk enough, and Joe, because she talks too much. So on the Okina tribe, you really need to be somewhere in the middle with your personality. And unfortunately, those two are on the opposite ends, and that's. And
I just want to say one thing that you made me think about. So when I interviewed Tony, so me and Joanne have 6 kids, and she's a mother, and she has to constantly be leading a household of 6 kids. And Tony was like, Joanne is a mother, and we are all her children, and she's telling us what to do, and she's our leader. Like, she's telling, okay, guys, we need to get wood. And that can rub people the wrong way. So. They are happy that somebody's stepping up, though, because everyone's like, I didn't want to say it, and she said it, so we just let her do it. And so they're all happy that she's doing it. And I won't say she's like destined for first boot, but she needs to pull it back a little bit, just like Debbie needs to pull it back a little bit. And I hope she's self-aware enough to see that, but we'll see.
She knows what she's doing. I just don't know if she can pull it back.
Right.
She's fully aware. Like Charlie was fully aware of why, if he's an early boot, why he would be. She's fully aware that if she's first boot, she knows exactly why, but she's not doing anything about it.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Charlie's trying to accommodate.
Yeah.
She is not.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. It's one of those things. We don't know.
A lot can change.
A lot can change. I'm looking forward to the eventual Joe versus Carl showdown of Leaders of the Draft.
There you go.
So she's not from Australia, but she did come from out of the country. We have Kiri. Kiri is 33 from British Columbia, Kawana, and she is an industrial laboratory technician. I loved her video. She loves her cats. She's in a male-dominated field, and she feels like a Renaissance individual. She's doing a lot of different things, pursuing a lot of things, and I'm very curious to see how she will take this game at the head.
So, Kiri, when we all interviewed her, every single one of us gave her like the highest scores. Like me and Amos, I told you we do the winner thing. Me and Amos both had wrote winner.
Yep.
Yeah.
After our interview.
It was probably one of the best interviews I've ever interviewed in 10 years of interviewing.
Yeah, it was.
Wow.
She was just, because you look at her and you don't think, because she looks scary.
Yeah.
I mean, she does. She looks scary.
She'll say
She
that.
doesn't look approachable, but she is the most bubbly and sweet
Yeah.
and just giddy person. I mean,
Yeah.
the person inside does not match the outside, which is awesome.
Right.
But she's just one of those people that you just gravitate towards as soon as you see that personality, she starts talking.
She's got this ability to read a room, and she can, depending on who she's with, she can change her personality.
Yeah.
She's like a chameleon.
It's amazing. And I watched her do it today around camp. She's not like running the show, but everyone likes her. And I still believe that she can easily win this game. She was, as soon as we hung up the call in the interview, we were like, she's 100. It was the first person we were like, they're casted.
We joked, we'll just get her back on.
Yeah, just turn around and call her back.
Should we just call her now?
Yeah. There was no changing it.
So she's so far, I don't know if it hasn't translated into the game yet, that she's not like out there playing this amazing game, but we know it's in there, and we're waiting to see that come out. But I watched her adapt. I saw her hang out with Blake, and then I saw her go talk to Maddie, and I'm like, and she's like, yeah, I lived in New Zealand and blah, blah, blah. And starts telling them that. And then she goes over to Blake, and they start talking about go-go dancing. And so she's well-rounded, and she's going to do really, really good in this game.
So our second Australian player, we have Matty Pitcher, 40 from Melbourne, Australia. He is a pharmacist, though it sounds like his family made him be a pharmacist, but this is where his real passion is Survivor. Talk about Matty.
Matty P, first of all, he made a statement. When he was cast, he not did this interview. When he was cast, he said, Amos, can you call me Matty P? He said that because the great survivors all have a nickname. So, right, he knows his Survivor history. He's a huge fan. And again, just like Ethan, I really hope it goes well for him. But, Matty's interesting because he's like 6'4", 6'5", towering presence, but he's like one of the nicest people. He's not intimidating in the slightest, despite his height. Like, he's somebody who talks to people, in a way that they like to be talked to. He's an attentive listener, and I hope for Matty that it goes well, but I don't know as much about his positioning. But in terms of his abilities, for what we saw in the interview, Matty has it in him to talk to people, connect with people, and do well in this game. He has the ability.
I know a little bit more because I've been out there all day. So the way I view him, and we talked in our before I filmed his confessional, he talked to me about the casting process.
Yep.
He almost dropped out because he was having a lot of anxiety and panic attacks and things that he's dealing with in his life. And he has a therapist, and he went to his therapist and he was like, here's what I'm dealing with, and I think I should drop out of this game because I think it's going to make me worse. And his therapist said, no, go to the game.
Yep.
You got to do this game because this is going to help you you'll have a breakthrough. And he was like, okay. And then when I talked to him, he was like, and I'm so happy that I listened to it because now I'm out here, and it's like, I feel this change in me. And he's only been out there one day.
Right.
So, and we had everybody out in the waiting area outside, and there was a carpenter bee flying around, and he was running around the porch scared of it. And carpenter bees don't even have stingers. They just dig into wood. So everybody was like, that bee's harmless, but he was scared. So he's totally out of his element.
Yep.
But we were walking back to camp tonight, and it was getting dark, and there were lightning bugs all around, and he was looking around like this, and he's like, "Oh my God, I've never seen because they don't have them in Australia."
Yeah.
And he was like, "This is amazing. Like I've never seen that. I never even considered that." And he was just like, you could see in his face, like this is therapeutic for him. So I'm really glad that he did not drop out.
Yeah.
And I do think he's going to do, and everybody in their confessional says they like him. So I think he's going to do really well. He's not top 3,
Right.
but he's not bottom 3 either. He's in the middle right there with a bunch of others on non-Kana.
Well, who knew the best therapy was going halfway across the world to starve in the wilderness for 7 days? We should all do that more. Our next player is the first of 3 female winners from other games. I'm very excited to talk about Melanie Bartlett. Melanie is 46 from Philadelphia. She is a senior grant monitor. And Melanie, I think of all the players, is probably the most experienced. If you are doubting that, go to her video, her video you have posted on the Surviving Reelfoot website. Her background of her office is just all her buffs, I think. It's from the scope of games. And Melanie is the player. I'm going to go wax poetically a bit about Melanie. I played with Melanie last year in Surviving Bloomington. Melanie is probably one of my biggest regrets of people that I clicked with, got voted out, then realized at post-game, oh my gosh, Melanie was the person I should have ran with because we really clicked on a strategic, analytical level. And what I love about Melanie is she has that. She is a very strategic player, really thinks hard and deep about the game. But one of her skills is team building. I think when Melanie excels at bringing people together and having those people then be successful because they are brought together as a team. And I don't know, it's a sample size of 1, but her tribe last year in Order versus Chaos Surviving Bloomington didn't lose a challenge, and she swapped and we lost everything. But I thought that was one of the really good things she did. And I think where she might run into trouble could be people may know her. Right, and if they know her, they may have thoughts about her, or they may realize like she won Survival Pennsylvania. She's a threat, and I think Melanie is a very unlikely threat. She talks about look at her demographic. She's 46. She's not real big. Like people are going to see her. Oh, she must be a liability. When in reality, she's in good physical condition. She will be an asset to any team she's on. And so I think she runs the risk early game. If she gets past that, I am very excited to see what she can do. But Melanie's played a bunch of games with me. She's been in all sorts of situations. She's been a majority. She's a minority. She's been bad swaps, good swaps, merges. I'm very high on Melanie, but I'll be very curious to see how this shakes out for her.
Melanie is somebody who all these people are Survivor fans. I think Melanie is an LRG fan, just as big as she is a Survivor fan. One of the things she talked about in her interview was she just loves the community aspect of these LRGs, meeting people that you consider friends and family for the rest of your life from these games. Obviously it connects through Survivor, but just the community building, that's something that she really wanted to do in this game. You're right. She is very aware of her archetype is one that typically has a hard time early on and can go out early. She is painfully aware of that. So she is trying to talk. She's trying to, contribute in camp, contribute in challenges how she can, so she does not fall victim to that. And I think she has the ability to avoid that. She's had successes in games before. I think if she can get some luck and if she can continue to her strengths, she has the potential to do really well. I'm excited for her. I like you said, Steven, she has played a lot of games, but it wasn't a thing of this is just checking off the bucket list for me. I'm just trying to play every game on the sun. She truly wanted to do this game because of the reasons that, she likes what we bring to the table. And I appreciate that a lot from her.
Yeah, and I think I think one thing that's going to be helpful is looking at the average age of your cast. You do not skew young this season. And that's probably going to help mitigate that.
Yeah. The one thing with Melanie right now, I spent the day out at their tribe, and I did confessionals with everybody. And the thing with Melanie right now is not one person mentioned her negatively or positively. Like nobody mentioned her at all when they're talking. So I don't know where that puts Melanie in her tribe, because absolutely nobody talked about her in their confessionals. So I don't know if they didn't mention her as somebody they want to work with, but they didn't mention her as somebody that maybe would be on the out. So I honestly have no idea. Melanie's the only person in this game. I have no idea where she's at in her tribe.
Yeah.
A true neutral.
There you go.
Not the worst way to go though.
No,
it could work.
It could. It's either a good thing or a bad thing.
Right.
We'll find out in time.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
All right, so this next player, we have Melissa. Melissa is 37 from Wilmington, North Carolina. She is a hairstylist. Now, Melissa played to my knowledge, her first game last year, Survival Challenge 2023, where notably she's idled out at Final 5. And in her little intro package, she says, I'm going to throw every vote possible because I never want to have that happen again. And while it's entertaining to hear that you're going to throw every vote possible because you don't want to be idled out and you're just going to go rogue vote forever, I worry this is maybe too fierce of a reaction to her past experience, because I know everyone's power game really does define how they play in the future. Talking about Melissa, it sounds like you all may have some thoughts about her already.
Melissa is the one we've been waiting to talk about.
All right, let's get to
Melissa
business.
is probably she does not realize it. She thinks that she's somewhere in the middle of the road, but what Melissa doesn't realize, every single person on Okina wants to work with her. She has got Hannah. Her and Hannah are like 1 and 2. She's everybody. I mean, can't even just start. I could just name everybody on the tribe. They all want to work with her.
Not even neutral.
So really, what's going to happen on Okina is going to depend on what Melissa wants to do. And Melissa wants, from the confessional I got from her, she wants to work with people like Tony and Ethan, and of course Hannah, her number 1. But she likes everybody. She's throwing out different. She really likes German. She really likes Trinica, who's also doing well. We'll talk about her later. But Melissa's the one and the other tribe has noticed it too. I followed them back before you got there. I was filming, and they were talking about her and her presence and the way she presented herself when she walked in. Like I forgot what they called Laura Croft.
Yeah,
because she's just like this.
Matty P coined that.
Yeah, she has this presence that the other tribe has noticed.
Yeah, they took notice.
She is definitely
a power.
She doesn't realize
she's the one right now. If Okina,
she's number 1 on Okina.
Yes, and if Okina goes into the merge with numbers, I think everybody she's with is going to be loyal enough to her that I could see Melissa going and winning this game.
Yeah,
there's no way Melissa's getting voted out at all unless she's idled out. On Okina,
that would be
tragic.
In her confession, I filmed her confessional today, and yeah, it's true. She does not know this information. She thinks that she's middle of the pack. She's like, for all I know, it could be Megan. But I'm like,
nowhere near
you.
Everybody wants to work.
She's got a healthy level of paranoia because of that idled out situation. But she is the power player on Okina. She'll decide what happens. And I think that if Okina gets the merge number, I do think that she has a heavy chance of winning. So yeah, she's the kingpin in Okina.
Yeah.
Our second female winner from a different series, we have Sandra. Sandra is 55 from Taunton, Massachusetts. She is a paralegal. She won Survivor Angelica 2023. It was a close final tribal council vote, but she walked out the victor. I'll be very curious to see how she played. She's also played Outlast 2022 with German. She was, I believe, an early merge. She went either late pre-merge or early merge. I can't recall exactly. I don't have the wiki pulled up in front of me. I'll be very excited to see how she plays in Reelfoot.
So her and Shauna are both winners, and they're on the same non-Kana tribe. And they have decided to work together, and because they're both winners, they know that they're winners. And in their confessional, I asked both of them, are you going to hide it? Or are you going to, if they ask, or what's your plan here? And they're just telling everybody, like, hey, here's what it is. I won before, and, I'm not here to win this time. I just want to have fun. So they're
like anyone ever believes that. Please continue.
But they do want to win. And so those two are working together because of the fact that that's the thing that's bringing them together, is that they both have won. So those two are working together. And so far, I haven't heard anybody say, and I did a ton of confessionals with them today, and nobody was like, well, there's a winner on my tribe, so, I'm out looking out for that. It doesn't seem to be an impact at all on either of their game. So it's incredible. And in fact, she's already in an alliance. So she's doing really well. She's doing better than Shauna actually right now.
Yeah, I'm curious if the queen will stay queen, if we're going to have another two-time LRG player crown this season. But we'll talk about Shauna's strategy, because Shauna, I think, laid out the strategy describing very clearly in her video. In fact, why don't we talk about that right now? We have our third winner for a different series, Shauna Evans. Shauna won Survival Challenge 2023 last year, beating a two-time Reelfoot players, Bash or Sebastian, who knows only the beginning or end of the game. Shauna is 34 from Minneapolis, Minnesota. She is a senior product training designer.
Well, I mean, just like Sandra, you meet Shauna, you interact with her, you know why she won. It's like, okay, you totally get it. She has a very bubbly personality. But again, it's not overwhelming. I know I keep saying that about a lot of people, but it's definitely a stark contrast between the people who are maybe doing too much, people not doing enough, and there's the people who are hitting just the right spot. And Shauna is definitely one of those people. Shauna is she talked about it in her interview. She's aware she played a very popular game, one of the most well-regarded LRGs, Survival Challenge, and she is coming in with that thought in her head the entire time. It will not leave her as long as she stays in this game. But Shauna, I think, I truly, just like Sandra, think Shauna can go back to back. I really do. I think even though she's a winner, she has this presence about her that is not intimidating, that will make people underestimate her, even though they shouldn't. But that just shows her capabilities. I think they might underestimate her, but they shouldn't. They obviously shouldn't. Mm-hmm. But I think just because of the way she talks to people, the way she connects with people and legitimately listens to what they have to say and is interested, I think that's her power. That's going to be her success in the game. And I see very likely a run for Shauna, at least in this early part of the game. I think she'll serve herself well.
And so the way that I would describe it, because I was at non-con all day, and the way you described Hannah, she's the Hannah on that tribe. Yep. She's not like steering the ship, but she's just right under that. And
she has a spot.
And that's where you kind of want to be in the early stages.
The only thing I can say, and I agree with everything they said, I think Shauna's awesome. She's it's you meet her and you know why she won. The thing with Shauna, I don't even think it's going to be Shauna. She did let her tribe know today when I was filming that she knows Melissa. After they just got done talking about what a big threat Melissa is from the other tribe. So it just depends on if they think Melissa's too big of a threat and that connection needs to be broken. That would be really the only way I would see Shauna going out anytime.
Yeah, I didn't realize I wasn't there for that. I don't think that was you never know if you revealing a past connection is going to help or hurt you.
Right.
And she's chosen the honest path because she doesn't know what everybody else knows. And she told me that I don't know what everybody else knows, so I'm just going to be honest and lay everything out there.
She told them all that she played with her last summer. So her tribe knows that they see Melissa as the big threat from the other tribe.
So that could come back to get her.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, Melanie is in this game. I think you can safely assume all connections are known by Melanie.
Yeah. But, and the thing with Melanie is even people that don't know Melanie, she's going to know who they are.
Yeah.
So that's an advantage that she's got coming in.
Yeah, Melanie's going to have
because Surviving Bloomington, it was an open cast list, and Melanie did all her homework, like far beyond any cast member. It was impressive. She's like, I've listened to every one of your podcasts, and I'm like, thank you.
Melanie, actually, real quick about Melanie, she said she listened to this podcast actually to get ready for Road. She listened to your deep dive. So,
oh man, I'll have some fun. I'm gonna enjoy talking with her post game.
Yes.
All right. Anything else about Shauna?
Nothing.
No.
All right. 2 players left. Next up, we have Tony. Tony is our last Tennessee contestant. He's from Knoxville. He's 32. He is an underwriter. And correct me wrong. I mean, his intro package. He was a baseball player, correct?
Yeah, he played baseball.
Yes.
Okay. Talk to me about Tony. You were talking. I think it was James. You're saying Tony is kind of being his right hand man and things. I want to say.
No.
Okay.
So with Tony, because that James is on a non-con. Tony's actually on Okina.
Okay, gotcha. I got things mixed up then.
Tony is somebody who I think has a good potential in this game. Now, Tony is I think he's in the middle of what's going on in Okina, for what I understand. You know, he's not the most vocal. He's not the least. So he's finding a healthy middle in there. We talked about there's already some people that want to work with him. I think his tribe is going to see him I don't know if he's revealed his past history of baseball, but I think his tribe's going to see him as an asset in challenges. So I think that will serve him well. Tony's just the kind of guy. He's going to play it up as I'm just a country boy. I'm just here to have a good time, survive the outdoors. Tony's a gamer. Okay, Tony knows these games. He's played a lot of online games. He knows some of the people in this game. I imagine if he gets a chance, he will utilize that to his advantage. Tony has a mind for strategy, and I think he's trying to play off as the goofy guy already. And I think that if it works, will be very beneficial to him.
Well, unfortunately for Tony, he's on a tribe with Ethan, who is the goofy guy.
Right.
But Tony he's not at the bottom, and I wouldn't even say he's in the middle. I would say he's at the bottom of the top.
Okay.
Because Ethan wants to work with Tony. Melissa wants to work with Tony, which automatically makes Tony safe as of right now.
Yeah.
Everybody really wants to work with him, and they want to keep him around because of his strength too. And he's a really likable guy too. Like everybody likes him. Everybody likes everybody on day one. But yes, Tony's a pretty cool guy.
He's on the Kumbaya tribes.
Yeah,
so everyone likes him.
Yeah.
Tony's game plan was to bring good vibes, and he's on the vibes tribe.
Yeah.
So it's working out pretty well.
All right. And last but certainly not least, we have Trinica, another Texas player. So thank you, Parker. Trinica is 30 years old from Austin, Texas, and is a literary agent. So marrying my favorite things in the world, books, publishing, and Survivor. Trinica, I remember talk about she has a lot of experience playing orgs. And so and I think she feels very confident walking this game from that experience. And I'll be curious to see, we've had other players of the past have Reelfoot be the transition from orgs to LRGs.
Trinica is she's right underneath Melissa.
Yep.
If every single person wants to work with Melissa, they mention Melissa, and then they're like, and I really want to bring in Trinica. Everybody wants to work with Trinica too. Her and Melissa, I think, are in the best spots on the tribe, because everybody loves her. They love her personality. She's doing well in camp. She's not too loud. So she's definitely somebody that I think is going to do very well on this tribe. But I don't remember if Melissa said anything about wanting to work with her. So it could be
conflict of interest.
Two big names going at it, or
Melissa loves Hannah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So Hannah's above Trinica right
now.
Well,
100%.
Yeah.
But I just don't know like what Melissa's core root's wanting to be. So, but those two girls right now are going to be the fight for power. Melissa has it right now, but if Trinica pulls enough numbers, I can see she could be the one to overtake Melissa if anybody does.
Yeah, she could.
And the thing about Trinica too is in her interview, I think she actually underrated herself, because she was somebody who was saying, I'm not going to be super social, or like I'm worried about the social aspect. I'm more introverted. I'm not as extroverted as I'm sure the cast will be. And I'm not saying she's the most extrovert person out there, but she's doing a really good job connecting with people. She's friendly. She's got a great smile, and she's somebody who I hope actually gains confidence from this, because we saw it in her interview. We're like, this is a friendly person. This is a likable person. This is a smart person. And I think she's even surprising herself with her level of social ability right now, because that was something she was concerned about, but I think she's doing a good job at socializing.
She is, but she did mention in her confessional that she is an introvert, so she's already mentally exhausted from all the social part of it.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So she definitely needs to figure out how to churn that energy, because she's not used to that, and it's taken a lot out of her to put herself out there. So that, like Parker said, this could be a learning experience for her on how to do that.
All right. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen. So looking at our two tribes, if you had to throw a person from each tribe, who'd you say is likely maybe in danger, or unless things change over the next 24 hours or so?
On Okina, I think right now, if they went to tribal council right now, it would be a toss-up between Joe and Charlie. Charlie, because he's too quiet, literally the only reason, and they think it's sketchy, which he's just nervous. Or Joe, because she's not quiet enough, and she goes off by herself a lot, and while they're all sitting around. So I think it could change tomorrow, but if they went to tribal right now, I think it'd be between those two.
And on Nankana, it would be number one, I'd say probably 80% Debbie, and then the 20%, there are some people that don't love Carl's energy. So King Carl might lose his crown sooner than he thinks.
That would be a fast dethroning.
Yes.
But we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah.
Did you all want to talk about anything else that's happened today?
We can talk about the challenge, because we haven't uploaded it yet. We've just been super short-staffed, so we hadn't had time to sit down and do it, but we will get it uploaded.
And here I am stealing your time, so thank you for this.
No, you're not stealing our time.
No,
we want to do this.
We do have a twist that we revealed at the beginning. We are doing a comeback this year where the players that are voted off do get a chance to earn their way back in. How they earn that, we did It's different than the way we've done it in the past, and I think it's a cool way to do it because
Yep.
they really have to fight and earn their way in. So that's really something we think is going to be really cool and fun to watch. We also are doing fire tokens this year.
Wow.
There's, like I said, we're going to this Native American natural history of the Reelfoot area, and so we have an outpost that they can go to. And today we had a reward challenge, and it was Quest for Fire, and it was they had to select people to do a puzzle, and then once that was done, somebody had to transport a ball all the way. I mean, it was a pretty good distance, and then somebody had to start fire, and then they used the balls, metal balls with the stuff inside, and it burns. And use the chopsticks to get it to one station, and then the next pit players can go with theirs, and they lit from each station, and then it lit off fireworks that took. We had already announced the winner by the time the fireworks actually went off, but in the episode you won't see that. It'll just be a big firework display. Yeah. But anyway, so it was really Okina took a really big lead. It was Trinica and Danny were on the puzzle, and they got that really quick. It was the slide puzzle. Tony was their runner, and then Joe was doing the fire, and she was working on that fire, and it was Blake and Sandra were on the puzzle for Nankana, and they were really struggling. I think Sandra knew what she was doing, but Blake was moving them too fast, and she was trying to move the pieces back, and he was moving them forward, and she's like, stop for a second. Right. She's like, this goes here. And they ended up catching up, and they made up a lot of ground. It came down to 1 ball difference. Joe got fire once again for her tribe. Shauna did the fire for Nankana, and then everybody else used the chopsticks to get down. Okina ended up winning with 1 ball, which was really cool. And then, I said something to Joe. I made a funny remark. I was being sarcastic, and she was not.
She was sassy.
She was just being sassy. Yeah, I mean, I didn't take it personal. No. She didn't mean it that way. But anyway, so it's just fun to be able to pick with the contestants too, because they're in the moment. Yeah. And then so the players with the fire tokens, they won 8 fire tokens. They were all given 1 at the start, so they had 18 total. And they got to choose. They chose Trinica and Melissa to go, ironically, to go to the outpost, and they got to choose 2 members from Nankana to go, and they chose Blake and Carl. Mm-hmm. They went to the post. I can't wait to share it because the first thing they did when they got there, Carl said, "Can I have a coin to buy this tarp?" And they were like, "No, we want the tarp." So, because they wanted the tarp, and obviously Okina had more coins, and they were like, "Well, you give us enough that we can." Because if both groups want the same thing, they have to pay and then draw a rock. White rock wins, but whoever loses their tokens. Mm-hmm. And Carl wanted them to do that, and Melissa and Trinica were like, "Yeah, we're not doing that." And then, but they did give them 1 token to buy some rice to take back to their camp. And Trinica and Melissa got a tarp for the Okina tribe. And then they went back to camp and said, "Hey everyone, we bought rice," and it was a Ziploc bag about that big, and it had rice in it. We spent 7 fire tokens on his bet. They told them that Carl and Blake told Nankana that they spent all 6 tokens on it. And it's apparently true. I was not there at the outpost, and I was like, they just didn't know that Melissa and Trinica, they didn't tell their tribe that they gave them a coin. Yeah. So they were lying about that, but they walked into camp and they're like, "Hey everyone, we spent 6 fire tokens and we got us food." And they're like, What'd you get? And he was like, "This bag of rice." And immediately everyone on the tribe was like, "You're fucking lying. Like, you're lying. Sorry for cussing. Everyone was, but they said that. They were like, you're lying. And there was people coming to the side. Like, there was people literally got up out of camp, walked over, and they were like, "They're lying. We're voting one of them out." Like, they're screwed because of this whole transaction. Because they didn't have to spend any coins at all. Like, they could have just went back with their 6 coins. So I even was like on the other side of the camera, I'm like, of course they're lying. Why would you buy rice? We gave you 8 days supply of rice. Why would you spend 7 coins on rice? Or 6 coins on rice? So I don't understand why they did that either. We'll have to.
That'll be for them to share.
That'll be for them.
So wait, something that says they bought a minuscule amount of rice.
Yep.
They actually spent 6 fire tokens on this rice, and they already have rice.
Yeah, they spent their 6 tokens plus the one that Trinica and Melissa gave them. to buy the rice because it was 7 tokens to buy it and they only had 6. So Carl talked them into giving the other tribe into giving them 1 fire token.
So the only thing that we can assume, me and Amos talked about this, and we don't know if this is true. We think that they were under the impression that they had to buy something on the table.
Mhm.
That's the only thing that we can think of that makes any sense whatsoever. But they did not have to buy anything at all.
Yeah. But they did try to make an alliance with Trinica, and Blake and Carl did with Trinica and Melissa, and they were like, "Oh, we got each other's backs and all this stuff." So I don't know. It's a fun experience because you get to watch them interact and barter with each other, and possibly
Is this going to be for the viewers to see this?
Yes,
Or will
yes.
this be
When we
episode
do
exclusive?
we're gonna once this is over. Pete had to leave, by the way. He went to go cook supper. Once this is over and everything, I'm gonna upload the challenge, and then I'll upload the outpost.
And I'll say what's exciting for us is, you put in a big twist like fire tokens that last the whole season. You want it to make a splash. Like on CBS Survivor Winners at War, really went out with a whimper, but didn't surmount to much at all. So the fact that something crazy happened the very first time we even tried it is really exciting. This is just for reward. Like, when it gets in the immunity stage, I'm very curious how that's going to impact things.
Yeah.
So, question. So, Bluff Ranch, you had the surplus store. Was it explicitly fire tokens for that? You had a currency, you had the purchasing.
We had a Reelfoot currency. We had money printed out with the Reelfoot logo on it. So it was the Reelfoot currency because it was more of like a POW, and like a military-ish type, slang that we were using. So we used the surplus store. This season we're doing the outpost, and it's a little bit different because all the items are not going to be the same. It states on there, and of course they'll read the thing on there whenever y'all see the video. Is if you see something you want, buy it now. It may not be here next time, and it's very limited supply. Like today, it was just a tarp, some twine, the rice, and some ketchup. Some items they might look at like they did with the ketchup and be like, "Who wants that on the rice?"
Yeah. I mean, I've had ketchup on rice. It's amazing.
Flavor in their rice yet, but and then there may be advantages, and they don't have to buy it for the tribe. Like they can spend their tokens on the tribe. They can spend it individually. However, but those 2 people are making the decisions.
That's the difference there mentally from the surplus store. The surplus store, that was the tribe's money. They couldn't really be selfish all that much. The fire tokens are completely individual.
And you can use them to negotiate your way into alliances or votes.
And a tribe of 10 only won 8. So I was like, there's 8 tokens here. There are 10 of you.
Yeah. You
decide how you divvy these out. So that'll be fun in the morning when we go in and figure out with the confessionals and things who ended up with coins. And I guarantee you one of them will be Melissa.
Well, thank you all so much for taking the time today. I know it's been a long day and you still have stuff going on because you mentioned like there's a lot of players to manage, only so much you. So thank you so much. I really appreciate hearing the insight. I am super excited to see what's to come this season. Thank you all for tuning in. At the very latest, expect some coverage this coming Wednesday. We're going to do a mid-season recap. If you check out the live reality, the Reelfoot wiki page, I will be updating the season as information comes across on there as well. So if you're not following the feeds, I'm going to try to have things there for you. Again, thank you all so much. Any things that you want to tease the viewers to look forward to this season?
We got some really cool stuff planned. The cast is really what I want people to watch.
Yeah.
Like this is probably the best cast that I feel like we've ever casted, and that's not to knock anybody else's season, but this cast truly is one of those casts where I'm looking at them and I'm like, I don't want any of these people voted out. Like there's always somebody where you're like, oh, if they go, I don't, it'll be okay. Like I really don't want any of them. I want to have 20 winners.
Yeah. And I just want to say thank you to the viewers because we do this for you guys too. So I just want to say thank you for coming back every summer and watching.
Absolutely.
Because you guys make this possible too.
This is all volunteer based. We don't get anything from this financially. We spend our own money, and the fact the viewers are so committed and want to follow us means a lot.
Yep.
All right. Thank you all for tuning in, and we'll see you all in the near future.